church benches and into the trenches. Let's make a righteous ruckus.
Hey, welcome back to this resurrection, you'll be seeing this right after the Resurrection Sunday celebrations all across the world, honestly. This is the first going to air directly after, quote unquote, Easter Sunday. And I wanted to get into some stuff. Today, here where I'm recording at, is really a lazy day. It's pretty, it's like rainy and overcast. We had storms last night. It's rainy and overcast. And I actually slept in a little bit this morning, an hour or so. It's pretty nice. And it just really made me wish that I was taller, because that way I could always sleep longer. And that would be a blessing. It's hard to keep a straight face. If that went over your head, I apologize. Maybe you should be taller too. It wouldn't go over your head. Anyway, I want to jump into this because this does apply to what we are. If you're watching this when it airs initially, is what you just celebrated on Easter Sunday or Resurrection Sunday, right? So I want to get into, we're gonna pull today the verses today from Hebrews 12, right? The beginning of Hebrews 12. And in Hebrews 12, it starts off with the word therefore. So it's tying Hebrews 12 in with Hebrews 11. Remember, when you read the Bible, me and my youngest brother, we ran into this yesterday as we were discussing things. We were actually discussing the timing of the crucifixion in relation with the resurrection, and we were discussing all that, and we got down this rabbit trail, and ended up, we were both kind of going back and forth trying to think about this, and if we would have just read a little bit further, then we would have got the answer to that specific problem, and we kind of laughed about it a little bit. And it's a reminder that when the writer of Hebrews, all these writers of the Bible, these authors, when they wrote this down, there were no chapters. There were no verses. Chapters and verses were added later on, and these titles that you'll see. And if you look at different versions of the Bible, they've all got different translations. They all got different titles and different sections. Those are just added to just give you context about what this area of writing is about. So just bear in mind, when you read all this, originally the writer had no chapters, no verses. And keep that in mind, because that's why I say he starts off Hebrews 12, a new chapter, quote unquote, with the word therefore, which ties it right into what he was saying before, all through chapter 11, which is, as you may or may not know, is referenced. It's kind of called the Hall of Faith. It goes through all these people throughout history that have really sacrificed for their faith in Jesus Christ and in God. So, without further ado, let's get into this. I want to cover Hebrews 12 verses 1. Just 1 and 2. It's just 2 verses today. I'm going to try to keep it short. We'll see how that goes. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. So the title of this is called The Race of Faith. This little subtitle thing in this version of the Bible. Or this, I say version. It's this translation of the Bible. It's called The Race of Faith. So Hebrews chapter 12, verse 1 and 2. Therefore we also, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which which easily ensnares us, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy for the joy that was set before him, endured the cross, despising the shame, and is set down at the right hand of the throne of God. Endured the cross. Joy. For the joy, endured the cross. That's quite the juxtaposition, or actually the contradiction. If you were to say, I'm going to be beaten, flogged, ripped to shreds, nailed to a cross, left to die, that generally does not fall in the category of something joyous, of a joyous occasion, right? It doesn't fall into that. It doesn't fall into that. And what the writer here is saying, when he's accounting that, he's tying that joy that Jesus, the author and finisher, you can also throw in there the creator and sustainer of the universe. Nothing was created without him. He made everything. Jesus did. All right. You say, well, when he was crucified, he was only 31, 32 years old. Well, yeah, but he had existed in eternity past and will exist in eternity future. Right? He is never ending in either direction where you go, past or future. I love the use of a race, right? The use of a race. Think about a race. You got the spectators. And therefore we also, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, think about all the great men and women of the faith. And think about all believers, past and present, cheering you on as you cross the finish line. Of the marathon, right? So I've mentioned this before. It's been a lot of years ago now. I'd like to do it again sometime. I ran it was the anchor leg, the last leg of our relays team of the Oklahoma City Marathon. I'm actually, ironically, or providentially, or I'm trying to think of another word there. Anyway. I'm recording this on April 19th, which is the 30th anniversary of the Oklahoma City bombing. If you're in a different part of the world, you may not be as familiar with it. If you live in the United States, a lot of people do remember it. It was on April 19th, 1995. And this group of people, anyway, there was a big bombing, killed 100 and something people, including, there was a daycare in the building, including a lot of kids. If you get a chance, I would encourage you to go to that memorial. I've actually this week spoken with a lot of people in Oklahoma City that have never been to the memorial. And I would encourage you to go there if you happen to find yourself in Oklahoma City. So to get back to this, I ran the anchor leg of the Oklahoma City Memorial Marathon. That was in direct opposition, which is part of what gave me the energy and the fire to do that was my specialist, especially my leg specialist after I had the wreck in 2012, had basically told me there's a good chance, it's highly unlikely that I would ever run again. His explanation was not that I would not be able to run again, but that I would not want to be able to run again because I would not want to endure the pain that it would take to run again. Needless to say, I was able to complete the 5K leg of that marathon. And my, here's something that's cool about the relay setup, right? The team that I was part of trust me, those people were in a lot better shape and could run a lot better than me. The team that I was a part of, as I was coming around the last part of that race, my team joined me to run the last little bit, couple hundred yards, which when I saw them coming to help me and to be, not really help me, but to be with me, it gave me a second wind, right? If you've ever ran or you've played sports, you know what the term second wind means. Is this is extra boost of energy that you didn't realize you had. It helped me to get to the finish line. And the way, this was not one long, narrow finish line. It had winds in it. We had some turns, right? But as you got closer to the finish line, you were joined by people and you could feel the finish line. You knew you could hear what was going on. You could see some more people gathering. You just knew there was a sense of urgency and of finality, that there was a finish line right around that next corner. You could hear them cheering for other people. You just knew there was a finish line there. And I love that. I love the illustration there. And that is, he's not talking about a sprint. He's not talking about sprint. So many people, especially Christians, we're awful about it, right? You go to a summer camp, or you go to an awesome service, or you hear a great song, and boy, you get fired up for Christ, and that fizzles out in no time. It fizzles out in no time, and we just go on living life as normal. We have to realize the context that this life is a marathon. And a marathon, you have plenty of, look at some of Chad Wright's stuff. He's a former Navy SEAL. He's an ultra runner that goes on these hundreds of miles, right? Some of these people that do that, I used to work with a gentleman, Bill's his name, and he did a lot of those really long distance runs. You know, you have to recharge those people on those runs. They have these little energy packets that they eat this stuff so they can have the energy and the fuel to keep going, because there's difficult parts, there's easy parts, the downhill, the uphill, the winding. There's a whole lot of facets that really encompasses a great view of the Christian life, because we have a lot for the third time, a lot of valleys, a lot of peaks, a lot of valleys. Actually, I want to get into that sometime. I've mentioned it on prior podcasts, peaks and valleys, but you need to have the endurance. And part of that endurance comes from knowing you're part of a team, like I was, right? During that marathon run, my 5K leg of it anyway. I was part of a team, so I knew I was accountable to them to finish. Also, when they joined me, I knew that it was right in my face. I gained strength by being around my team members. As a Christian, you can gain strength by being around other believers, by being in that environment, by surrounding yourself with a great cloud of fellow witnesses, right? I'm not trying to diminish the Hall of Faith. I'm just trying to encourage you by saying that your fellow believers will be fellow witnesses. All right. Now, the part to really focus on is the joy. The race is tough. The race is tough. That I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The race is very, very difficult. If you've been a believer for very long, you will have encountered difficulty in your life. If you put yourself out there, if you're the blade of grass that stands up a little taller than the rest of the blades of grass, you're the one that the lawnmower chops down, right? You're the one that gets cut down. You're the risk increases proportionally to the amount that you stand up for your faith. I'm standing up for your faith. That's going to be a future podcast too. I've got a great idea on that you're really going to enjoy. But Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, this is verse 2, Hebrews 12:2. Looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross. What in the world could he have been joyous about? That's awful. What he's going through and enduring is awful by any standards. We, looking back, know why he did it, and the result of it is the empty tomb, right? However, going through it, the joy, what joy was set before him? What was it? Feel free to answer out loud. I can't hear you because I'm on the internet. But that being said, the joy was knowing he was accomplishing the salvation of the world. All of mankind, all men and women, whether they were looking forward to a Messiah or looking back to him. All of them. He died for all of us. And knowing that that would secure our salvation, our justification in him, our salvation, right? Our justification by our belief in what he'd done. That was the joy that he had. I remember going back to this race, right? This race that I was talking about. I remember going through the physical therapy, going through thinking I may never walk again, not knowing. It was a wait and see if I will ever walk again, because my leg was so jacked up, along with multiple other things. Go back and look at some of the podcasts, and you'll see some of that talking about some of that. But there was a good chance that I would never walk again. But putting in that work, going through the pain of the physical therapy, the pain of walking again, the pain of additional surgeries, with the goal in mind that I'm going to walk again, but I'm going to run again. Something I apologize. I get emotional sometimes just thinking about this. When I drop my girls off at school every day, when they go to school, I love to race them to the front door of the school. I race them for a couple reasons. Try to compose myself. I race them for a couple of reasons. One, it's fun. It's full of joy. Kids are full of joy. Two, it's just a tradition that we do. I enjoy it. They enjoy it. We laugh. They always beat me, right? They always beat me, air quotes, because I let them. And I love it. But I challenge them. I do push them. It gets our blood pumping. Lets us know we're alive. And it's a reminder every time I do it of what my faith in Christ helped me get through 13 years ago. It's a reminder of that. I was looking forward to the joy of being able to run again when I was going through the surgeries, all that stuff. Once you go through those trials and you look, that's what it says right there, looking unto Jesus, knowing that your Savior voluntarily took a beating and nailed himself to a cross and died so that your sins can be forgiven when he rose on the third day, conquering death, paying your sin debt. That's huge. And focusing on that joy that he saw on the other side of that trial should help you when you encounter trials. Notice I did not say if you encounter trials. When you encounter trials in your Christian life, when you encounter those trials, look to Jesus. Focus on Jesus. I actually looked, when you look that up, when it says, looking unto Jesus. Looking unto, wait, hold on. Lay aside let me be sure. Run the race. Yeah. Looking unto Jesus. It actually, and that's what it was. When it says, looking unto Jesus. Let me do this. Let me see if I can do this live, right? Let me see if I can do this live. Looking unto Jesus. Fix our eyes. So the Greek, it's let us fix our eyes on Jesus. This is what that means. And I find this this is so powerful. Let us fix our eyes. It comes from this word, and I'm going to butcher this because I'm not Greek. It's aperontes, which actually means to look away from something else or to see distinctly, to look away from something else. Look away from the trial that you're enduring. Look away from the hardships in your life and look to Jesus. It was really cool just then. My wife has a picture of Jesus walking right on the wall over here. And so that was really cool. And I said, look to Jesus. I instinctively looked to, the artist's depiction of Jesus. That's powerful stuff. That's powerful stuff. I want to encourage you today. The tomb is empty. We know that. You can go there. You can visit it. I've never done it. I'd love to do it. The tomb is empty. There's nobody there. Jesus is resurrected. What did he do after that? What did he do after that? Sat down at the right hand of the throne of God, which is a place of authority, right? A place of authority. Oh my goodness, I'm way over time. So is it James that says count it all joy? Peter that says count it all joy. One of them says count it all joy. When you suffer for Christ, count it all joy. Jesus, when he suffered what we should suffer, the punishment due to us, he looked forward to the joy of doing it. That is our example. We should be more Christ-like tomorrow than we are today. That includes when you encounter trials, to count it joy, to look to the joy that will come beyond that. How far beyond, you ask? Maybe an eternity. Whenever you're welcomed past the finish line by that great cloud of witnesses. Something to look forward to. Man, I'm looking forward to that. What a day that will be, right? What a day that will be. Until then, we just got to keep pressing forward. And I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope it's been a blessing to you, especially after when this airs after Resurrection Sunday. Hopefully you've been able to celebrate that with family, with friends, with believers, and we're able to take in some joy from that. Eat some good stuff, fellowship with some people. For me, seeing the kiddos' faces, they're so looking forward to Easter. They know the true meaning. They're all excited about it. But anyway, until next time, I've given you some sneak peeks through this podcast about some coming episodes. So I hope you are really looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward to sharing them with you. So until then, have a blessed day.